Very nice. You check out. I'm like, that's what I said.
Who's in trouble, Jimmy? Of course. You know that.
I heard it was going to be interesting.
Oh, it is going to be interesting. I can't promise you that. Hello there.
Well, hello there.
See you for having you so long.
What's the best way to the library?
All cleaned up, you're not in your hiking clothes and hat. No, I never met your coach. Nice to meet you. We both look kind of ratchet. I said, we were kind of looking at it, you know. I literally had my pajamas on. Yeah. That's right, we got it done. That's all that matters.
Oh, nice.
Hello and welcome to the monthly council meeting. Today is August 19th. We did not have executive session today, but we had an executive session last week. Aunt Randy, do you want to talk about what that was?
The executive, can I be heard? No? Yes? Can I be heard now? Sorry about that. We had executive session to discuss police, arbitration matters, personnel, and that sort of thing.
That was it.
That was the entire executive session. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Randy. And of course, I want to, one of our council members, Marie, she had lost her son over the weekend. So we just want to express our condolences to her and let her know that everyone is thinking of her. And after the Pledge of Allegiance, or before the Pledge of Allegiance, if we could have a moment of silence. So if we could all stand, have a moment of silence. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Sue, would you do roll call? Here.
Mr. Robinson?
Mr. McKay?
Let me call him. He's sick, so he's taking it from the phone. Luke, they just called your name. A roll call. Present. Thank you. Present. Thank you, Sue. We're going to just switch A and B around because Mr. Barry Isett needs to leave. So do you want to give a presentation on the Stockham building?
Okay. So as for right now, we're still kind of in a holding pattern with them. They're waiting on SBA, which owns the easement for the roof. They're dragging their feet. We have emails back and forth from Ramnick, who is the owner, and the easement, I'll call them property manager of the roof. They sent, their original email went out. Their lawyer sent an email out on May 6th inquiring about the easement to see what was going to be needed to remove them and any penalties that were going to be incurred. They again sent another email out to them with the email that me and Mike drafted up on May 15th that went out stating that the building's being demolished. They had still hadn't heard anything back from them. As of August 12th, I got an email from Samantha Berman at AT&T. She was looking for information about a permit to do maintenance on the tower, the AT&T tower. At that time, I told her that the building's being demolished and they have 90 days to remove their equipment. She then emailed me back saying that she heard nothing from management, which was SBA. I copied Ramnick on it and it went back and forth between the three of us. And we're having a meeting tomorrow, a call tomorrow with them to figure out the logistics of what needs to get done. The easement is owned up there until 2017. So it was purchased in 2016. Ramnick bought it with the easement already in place. So I don't know, their lawyers are trying to work out what can be done if they have to be relocated and then reinstalled on a roof once something's built. So the holdup right now is with that. Ramnick is working through, he's been collecting bids and he's working with the RDA for funding. That's going to be another process. So they got to vet everyone, and then we're going to try to look at who gets awarded it, just to make sure that we're not just hiring the lowest bid to go in there and try and knock down that building. We don't want any accidents. We all know about the Market Street collapse. We don't want to see something like that happen here. So as for right now, it's kind of been a holding until we figure out what SBA, who manages I'll call it the roof area, is going to do. We've discussed fines, so we're going to figure that out. I talked with Mike Italia about it this morning and last week, about issuing a daily fine if we can't get them moving. So we're going to see how this goes tomorrow with talking to AT&T and see what their plan is, if they're going to move them or if there's going to be some pushback from them. Other than that, that's pretty much where we're at with this right now. Nothing else new. I've been in contact with him. He's not very forthcoming with his information, so I have to email him to get what we need.
Romnick?
Romnick, right.
That's the owner.
Right. He is part of, I believe it's SRV Holdings.
Yeah.
So we have to get in touch with him to get the information. He's not forthcoming with it. Had he emailed us about this months ago that he was having issues with the easement management company, we could have jumped in and kind of got this rolling a little sooner. But for right now, we're going to hold off on like I said, we're going to hold off on any fines for them or to their company until we figure out what's going on with AT&T. If AT&T is in agreement to move everything and we can get it rolling that way, then we're good. And as long as he's moving along with securing bids, I know he said it's difficult working with the RDA because he has to follow their guidelines as well. There's a lot of moving parts with everything that needs to be taken care of. I know he's contacted MMA over water and sewer. I believe he's contacted PICO. PennDOT is going to be another one he's got to contact when it gets to that point for the any road closure that needs to be done. We did tell them at the meeting we had back in May that it's going to be a hand demolition, that there's going to be no machinery. We may change that up once they get to a level that we find is safe. But since that building towers over the neighboring buildings and the streets, we're going to go with hand demolition until they get to at least level with neighboring buildings.
And you'll be on site when they take it down just to watch to make sure? Or?
We'll be doing probably daily inspections depending on what they're going to be doing there. But yeah, we'll be on, someone will be on site or drive through, meet with them or contractors on site. Try to do it daily. If not, we'll set up a meeting or a schedule with them to do walkthroughs, once or twice a week.
Council, any questions?
Yeah, is there any way to, like you said, you're going to stop the fines or the notices and whatnot, and that they're not being forthcoming? Is there any way to twist their arm to make them be a little bit more forthcoming?
So that's where the fines will come in.
Say again?
That's where the fines will come in. Right now, they're not being fined. We're trying to keep him moving along and keep them moving along with, everything they need to do to get in line. There's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of moving parts on their end with RDA. They have to follow their guidelines. With the easement, they have to figure out what's going on with that. They may be penalized to take those off the roof. There could be fines involved with that because the lease goes until 2071.
So 2071?
2071. And
So for the residents in town, there's a lot of people that they have different feelings on the building. Everyone agrees that it's an eyesore. There's a lot of people that want it to be saved. There's some people that couldn't care less if it was saved or not. So in 6 months from now, it's not, in 6 months from now when you're driving down the street, what can people expect to see?
if we get things moving 6 months from now, you should see demolition going on.
So there's no hope left for it?
I don't believe so. We went through in our meeting with them over a structural analysis. In the structural analysis, the cost of it was going to be astronomical as opposed to the demolition. They couldn't get the funding from what we were told for the demolition or for the structural repairs. And not only that, when walking through with them, once you start to do structural repairs on a building of that nature, as you start to shore up some spots that you didn't necessarily see were as an issue now become an issue. There were no core samples taken of any of the concrete, no core samples of the steel. It was all visual. Myself, the fire inspector, as well as two different independent engineering firms went through the building and said the same thing. No core samples. So we don't know the full extent other than visible what is the issues with that building.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Dennis?
I guess just to reiterate what Scott said, it is a shame, but this was verified by engineers that the building cannot be fixed. I mean, it has to come down, correct?
Correct. It was, I believe you guys have, your engineers went out and took a look at it, as well as Romnick hired his own engineers, and then I did a walkthrough with Romnick and the fire inspector. Structurally, it's possible it could have been done, but the cost of, like I said, the cost of doing it was way outweighed the cost of demolition and to rebuild.
And if, for anybody that sees the front of the building, it seems like it'd be an easy fix, but when you go behind it, that's where you see a lot of the structural damage that's happened over the years of it just sitting and rain pouring into it.
Right, and the interior as well is there are areas in the interior that are pretty beyond repair.
Right. Thanks, Barry.
Yep.
Yeah, I was inside when you went in with the fire chief. He brought me inside. He wouldn't let me go anywhere outside the vestibule. It was really bad. It was kind of sad. The elevator shaft is gone. You know that. There's human feces inside.
Yeah, there's probably squatters.
Yeah, there's probably squatters in there. So it's in bad shape inside.
Yeah, and a lot of the first floor can't be accessed because of just debris that's all over the place. So you're able to, on the first floor, you can get into the vestibule. Aside from that, you can't get anywhere else down there unless you break a window out or bust down one of the doors on the street level.
Yeah, it's been about a year, right, Mr. Dillon, when you first got everyone together to start talking about the Stockham building?
Yes.
So it's been a long road to get to this point.
Right.
And I know that originally when we had our meeting last August, we were hoping that it could be fixed. But as we started going on, and then the inspection started, we found out that you can't. It's a shame, but after 30 years of neglect, there's not much we can do.
Right. And this is going to be, once it does start, it's going to be a slow process. It's not going to be something that gets dropped in a week or a couple of weeks. It's going to take probably a couple months to bring that down. Only because of the logistics. It's not going to be something that gets dropped quick and everyone's like, all right, well, now we're going to start a rebuild. It's going to take time.
Okay. And Oh, I lost my train of thought. And, just for everyone else, we don't have any plans for it. The new owners or the current owners don't have plans for it. So it's just to brought down, it'll be an empty field, and then I guess they'll start deciding what they want to do.
That's my understanding of it. I know there was talk about them, they may rebuild there, but at the meeting, we were basically just, if it's coming down, we need to figure out that plan first. And
Right.
as far as rebuild is going to be something in the future possibly, but it's not something that we're looking at right now.
Okay. Thank you, Bill. Anybody?
Do you have what a ballpark cost to bring it down would be? And
I have no idea. To be honest with you, I had no clues of what it would
can
cost.
the RDA help with that, or the state or something, or the county, or are we on the hook for it?
I believe that
The owners on the
owners
hook.
are. They're the ones that are securing the funding to bring it down.
The owners are?
Yeah.
They own it, so they're bringing it down.
And if they don't?
That's
That's
we'll
future
cross that
meetings.
when we get there. But I believe that in what we sent them, that the borough would bring it down at their cost. They would still end up paying for it if the borough had to bring it down.
They've ignored us since John, the record collector, was in there back in the mid-'90s.
So the current owners, I don't believe owned it back then. They haven't, they took full ownership of it, I believe in 2018, 2019. And they inherited the entire mess. I know they bought it as, I believe it was 4 separate parcels. So they bought it as 4 separate parcels. And they acquired all 4 of them. I think by 2019 was when they acquired the final one and owned the entire building.
They were still trying to, when we met in August, they were still trying to acquire some of the pieces.
I believe so, but I
Yeah.
think they are, it's all
Yeah.
owned by them now.
Yeah, except for the roof.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know how that got signed or became, how you don't own the roof, but that's for them to figure out.
Right. Okay, thank you, Bill.
You're welcome.
Okay, my favorite conversation. The Bucks County, Adam Gilbert Cole is here from the Bucks County Free Library. He's the district consultant, so he's here to speak about the library.
I gave you a handout. There are also extra handouts at the front if anybody would like to follow along as I talk here. The stuff I'm going to get into here is a little bit technical about libraries, but I tried to get as simple as possible. I was asked to come speak about the state aid program and Morrisville Library's participation in the state aid program. So I have a page of definitions because I'm a librarian and we do that. And I just want to run over that and then talk about the services that are provided at the county level, and then run through a few situations at the Morrisville Library with the state aid program in Pennsylvania.
So I'm just going to interrupt you. In all our discussions, and we've been speaking for quite a while.
Yes.
Has it ever been mentioned that the borough was going to close the library?
Not with you, no.
Okay.
I have not heard that. I've been asked to speak to the board, the advisory board, and I've had conversations with the manager and with council over the last few months. Yes.
So just to clear up all the rumors, and I don't know where they came from. Well, I kind of know where they came from. I won't say where they came from, but the library, this council is not closing the library. So I hope that puts everyone at ease and stops with the nonsense. Go ahead.
Thanks. All right, so Morrisville Library participates in the Office of Commonwealth Libraries state aid program. This program is incentivized aid, which means that the library has to meet certain standards that are set at the state level to get this money. There are 2 different levels of state aid. Morrisville currently qualifies for the top level, which is incentive for excellence aid. That aid, and I'm going to talk about the standards that we have to meet in just a few minutes, but that level of aid you qualify for both through the standards that you meet, but also because in 2023, Morrisville Library joined what we call the federated system in Bucks County. That is a collection of libraries that come together to sort of make our services more efficient. In the case of Bucks County especially, it's because we get to meet standards, most of the standards collectively, not individually. So that happened in 2023 for Morrisville. The federated system has been around since the 90s. And on the handout, I just wanted to see, these are the reported revenue figures that were submitted to the Office of Commonwealth Libraries for Morrisville Library for 2024. There's just shy of 195,000 in municipal millage that comes from the municipality, from the borough. There's just shy of $40,000 that comes from the state for meeting those standards. And then there's $7,000 of other miscellaneous income that is like photocopier fees and things like that on top of everything else. So we're talking about this chunk of state aid money that's about $40,000 that, that's about 20%, or sorry, about 17% of the library's overall budget for the calendar year 2024. All right, second page, everybody. Any questions so far? Any questions about the state aid program? All right. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the services that are provided to Morrisville Library. We have lots of services that are extended to the libraries in Bucks County. The most important ones are the ones that I've listed here. As part of, it gets a little complicated, but as part of the Bucks County Library District, which is the county at the state level, we provide a library catalog, which is that thing that you as a patron sign on to, search for books, reserve books, that sort of thing. We at BCFL pay for a contract with a software vendor to have that provided to every library in Bucks County. That is regardless of the state aid level of Morrisville Library. That is just agreeing to participate in what's called the district services. We have other libraries in the county that are not state aided that participate in the district services that are provided all of these services also. As part of Bucks County Free Library status as a county library, we get our funding from the county, not at the local municipal level, but at the county level. We also provide several services that come from a category of state aid that is provided to county libraries. So Morrisville doesn't qualify for that. Bucks County Free Library does. But we use that money to pay for IT services. So the computers at Morrisville Library that both the staff and the patrons use, the IT technicians. We coordinate a consultant to help Morrisville get an E-rate for the internet line that comes into the building at a severe discount. All of those things are provided based on the fact that you're in Bucks County. This has been true for a long time. If county coordination aid was suddenly cut, this might be in jeopardy. I don't see that happening in the near future, but it is a service that could go away. Delivery service between the libraries is also provided to all Bucks County libraries. We do that just because, that helps patrons get what they want, the DVDs and books and whatever that they are requesting at their different libraries. That, again, is paid from Bucks County Free Libraries district aid services. We have all these categories of aid, but this is another thing that is provided to all the libraries. They just have to agree to enter into this district negotiated agreement. Interlibrary loan is also a part of that. So, say you look for a book in the catalog and none of the libraries in Bucks County own it. We have to offer that service to the Bucks County residents to receive our state aid, and you have to agree to participate in that ILL service to receive the services that I've just listed there. So, again, that's part of it. And then I am the advisory services that I've listed there at the bottom there. So I'm here in front of all of you today presenting my advisory services. Anytime a library in Bucks County needs this kind of advice, needs questions answered on how the law is interpreted, for libraries, I'm the sort of the byway between the Office of Commonwealth Libraries, which is the state department, the state wing of the Department of Education that handles all this, and the on the ground Bucks County folks who need these questions to be answered. Whew, okay. Any questions about that stuff so far? All right, so I have these three situations, and I want to go through them sort of quickly. Again, at stake here is that $40,000 in state aid that is used to enhance services at the Morrisville Public Library. The first situation is the status quo as it exists. Morrisville Library continues to meet the standards that the Office of Commonwealth Libraries sets to receive that top level of state aid, the incentive for excellence aid. These standards, I have detailed here, require the library to be open for 45 hours a week, 7 of which have to be weekend hours. So the library is required to be open at times when the public would be able to use it. That's the guiding principle behind that standard. You have to have a head librarian, a director, however you categorize a head librarian, who is certified at a level, the Office of Commonwealth Libraries oversees this, who is certified at a level based on your population. So Morrisville Borough is actually at the lowest tier of requirements here, but that head librarian has to have 2 years of college education and has to have 9 credit hours of library coursework from an accredited institution. So they don't have to have a master's degree, but they do require some level of coursework in library science. And then the head librarian has to work on site for 20 hours a week at least. We also meet some of these standards collectively because we're in that federated system that almost all the libraries in Bucks County are in together. And so we have to, based on Bucks County population, have 133 full-time staff members across the library system. In 2023, we haven't done the 2024 calculations yet, but in 2023, we had 135. So we are cutting it really close on that standard at this point. The full library system, so all of the libraries that are part of this federated system, and that's basically everyone in Bucks County, has to have a local financial effort of $5 per capita, per person in the county. So all of the county money that's appropriated for BCFL, all of the Morrisville Library money that's appropriated for Morrisville Library, all of the Northampton Township Library money, or all the Northampton Township money that's appropriated for Northampton Township Library. All of that counts towards this amount. We, I believe, are at $983 per capita, so we exceed that amount in a fair deal at this point. And then the full system has to spend at least 12% of its operating budget on its collections. The caveat to us meeting all of these standards collectively is that you have to agree to meet them individually to enter into the federated library system, because we don't want one library to jeopardize and bring and make other libraries fall down in their quality of aid standards. So when you enter into the federated system, you agree that you're going to meet those collective standards individually. So, for instance, Morrisville Library has to spend 12% of its operating expenses on collections. In 2024, that amount was about $32,000 that was spent on collections, and that accounts for about 14%. So Morrisville in 2024 was meeting those standards. The one standard that it is not meeting at this point is that it does not have a full-time staff member. We sort of fudged those numbers a little bit at the system level, but in the future, in the next 2 years, the state is revising that standard. Every library in the state will be required to have a full-time head librarian, a full-time librarian on staff. So at this point, if we're hiring for a head librarian in Morrisville Library, the best bet is to prepare for the future. Hire a full-time librarian. All right, situation 2. Oh, go ahead.
So I just want to also clarify for the public, the borough had contacted you for job descriptions in April. Once the head librarian had resigned.
Right.
And so then this is how this conversation about the head librarian started. And again, this is for the public because there's a lot of misinformation out there. You only had the meeting last week to figure out all the requirements in order to tell us. We
had the meeting with the state last week to figure out some of the situations here as it stands. I have very much so simplified the state aid program in my presentation here. The state aid program, as it is enacted currently, is legislation at the state level, but it is legislation that's been frozen since 2003, since the stock market crash of 2003. And because the legislation is frozen, the state aid program is very complicated to get into and out of, the Office of Commonwealth Libraries has to work with their legal team and has to set a lot of groundwork. And so remember that as we go forward here. The state aid program is really complicated to get into and out of at this point because the laws are essentially frozen as they stand right now, the funding mechanisms that make this possible. Okay, so situation 2. Morrisville Library leaves the federated system and steps down to the quality aid standards level. So in this situation, because you're not meeting those incentive for excellent aid standards, you have to leave the federated system because that's what this system agreement says. And then you work to achieve the quality aid standards. This does not jeopardize those services that are listed on page 2 in that handout there. As a courtesy in Bucks County, we have over decades established a working relationship to make sure that as a county library, Bucks County Free Library, we make the services available to all of the Bucks County residents, no matter their home library. It gets the organizational structure gets a little complicated, but we try to make sure that it's a seamless service across the county. So, with that said, there are individual standards.
Let me ask a question.
Scott,
I'm not a librarian, so I'm a little confused. So, you have the Bucks County Free Library System,
right?
And I know we're not a part of that.
So, yeah, this is what I mean when I say it's a little complicated organizationally. There's an organization, the Bucks County Free Library,
yes,
which has 7 branches, right? Doylestown, and then 7 branches.
The one on the Parkway in Levittown, is that one?
Yes, Levittown is one of them. Okay. Yardley, Makefield is one of them. So
how many libraries are in this federated system?
So there are 8 libraries in the federated system. Bucks County Free Library counts as one of those libraries, despite the fact that we have 7 branches.
So there's technically 15 libraries.
Yeah, I mean, there's like 14 library outlets.
Is this Lower Bucks, the whole county, the state? Like, where are these libraries located?
All over. So the only library in Bucks County that is not part of the federated system but does receive state aid is Riegelsville Library, way up in the north of the county. They also don't have a full-time librarian, and they don't meet the open hours.
What's going to happen to them? Are they going to?
They're at the quality. They're at the lower level of aid already, and so they meet the standards that are required for the quality aid. They will eventually have to decide what to do about the full-time status, if that's what you're asking. Yeah.
How many libraries statewide are in this?
That's a great question. I don't know the number off the top of my head, but it's something like 400.
Out of those 400, what do you think what percentage of them would be in the pickle that we're in right now?
I'm not sure I know the answer to that question, unfortunately. That's library service across the state varies greatly. You think about the fact that we're in a very dense, populous area of the state, and so a lot of our libraries meet these standards and the highest standards because they have a big tax base. But when you move out to like the north central part of the state,
right,
there's one library per county in that county.
Does anyone that's a federated system like look for, say, a case-by-case basis or have a little leniency or leeway on certain libraries, like ours in particular?
Like I said, there are some standards where we sort of like fudge it a little bit because we have certain libraries that have lots of full-time members and some libraries that can't afford full-time members. There does come a point, like I said, in the next couple of years where every library is required to have a full-time librarian.
Right, that's what I mean. There are libraries that don't have a problem with it, but then there's libraries in 2 years from now are saying this is a breeze. We don't have to worry about this.
Yeah.
There's other libraries that are saying this is something we have to look into.
Yes.
Is there any kind of?
There's a mechanism at the state level where you can apply for a waiver to meet standards, and that has been applied to libraries in Bucks County a few times previously.
Okay.
The standards for meeting that waiver will almost certainly change when the regulations that say you need a full-time librarian change at that point too.
What's the going rate across the board for a head librarian with I guess, an associate's and 9 credit hours.
That is also one of those things that differs depending on who's doing the hiring, where the hiring is. I can get some numbers for council if you guys would like that information in the future.
Could you get us a head librarian that we could afford?
That would be great, wouldn't it? No, that's not my job, unfortunately. That's
He did send us job descriptions to help
there's
us.
a couple job descriptions, and if those don't suit, we can certainly do some searching and find some others. But
But it's going to be closer to 100 grand, right? It's 80 to 100 to hire a librarian?
no, I mean, no. I think for that's for someone who manages the entire system often. For a full-time librarian who manages a library the size of Morrisville Library, you can probably expect like $50,000, something like that. As
50?
50, yeah, as a standard salary. I mean, that doesn't count what you're paying in benefits on top of that. That would be
Well, that's where we get into the...
yeah. I mean,
Okay.
that's the the benefits are certainly the sticking point in a lot of these negotiations.
Continue.
Yes. Okay, great. So the step down in standards involves being open less hours. So you're only required to be open 26 hours a week, 6 of which are on the weekend. Your head librarian has to be certified the same way. You do have to have a full-time equivalent employee per 3,500 people in the library's service area, which would be Morrisville Borough. That is an equivalency, so it doesn't have to be, in your case, it's almost 3 full-time equivalents. It doesn't have to be 3 full-time people, but it does have to add up to 3 full-time equivalents. At this point, you do have to have a full-time staff member to meet quality aid standards. That's one of the benefits of joining the system, is that we give a little leeway in the full-time the full-time status, but to meet this lower level of aid, you do have to have a full-time staff member. You have to spend at least approximately $9,000 annually on your collection. So a much lower number than what would be required for the incentive for excellence. You do still need to meet that $5 per capita local financial effort, which Morrisville Borough does. The number at the bottom of that page on the presentation is very much so an approximation. I had the state aid coordinator do a little back of napkin math for me to figure out what might be the step down. And this number fluctuates $1,000 one way or the other, depending on if they're doing this calculation based on the 2003 number or the 2024 number. And that's a complicated question that I don't have to answer tonight. So, and then there is situation 3, which is Morrisville Library leaves the federated system and leaves the state aid program entirely. At that point, you are not required to meet any of the standards that the state asks of you. You forego that $40,000 or $20,000, depending on the level of aid. You forego that aid payment for not meeting the standards as the state asks. You do still participate in the district negotiated agreement. So Grundy Library takes part in the district negotiated agreement. They receive deliveries from Bucks County and from other libraries. They take part in our catalog. We don't provide them IT services because they have their own endowment and they, are a separate organization and they're very well funded. And we don't have to speak about that anymore. But there are other libraries, Fallsington Library, the tiny little one-room schoolhouse, Pipersville Library, each of which don't receive state aid but take part in library services across the county. Any questions?
I have a question. You said there could be a waiver sometimes.
Yes.
Now, when you get a waiver, does that also you still get the amount of state aid if you get a waiver, right?
Right. So the first year that you don't meet a standard, you file for a waiver.
Okay.
And you receive the state aid payment. But in submitting that waiver, you also have to submit a plan for meeting the standards. And so every year going forward, they evaluate your movement towards meeting that standard. And at some point, they say, you're making no movement towards meeting this standard and we are withholding your state aid. Or they say this movement towards meeting the standard is enough, and, you know, we'll remit payment.
So that was my question. So even if you get a waiver, you can still receive the state aid
Yes.
if you're making an effort.
Like I said, there's been a few times in the Bucks County Libraries history that libraries have submitted for waivers. The intent of the waiver program when it was first implemented was that there may be municipalities that face extreme financial crisis at some point and can't fund their library, and they have to submit a waiver. Because the state aid program has been frozen for so long, there are libraries that have been fluctuating on meeting standards, but they can't move in and out of this program very easily. And so the state has, I would say, given a little leeway in the
That was my question.
Yeah.
The amount of aid's been frozen.
It
hasn't gone up, right?
It has gone up, but it's gone up in a way.
It goes up less than inflation.
It goes up
right?
and it goes down depending on how the legislature enacts it.
But it
every
hasn't.
year.
If you look at it in the last 10 or 20, it hasn't kept up with inflation.
It certainly has not kept up with inflation.
Okay. Let me just finish.
Yeah, sorry.
So in a sense, the county and the state has once again imposed an unfunded mandate on not just Morrisville, but on all the municipalities. Morrisville not being a wealthy community, as opposed to Lower Makefield, which is significantly better funded, or has the ability to be better funded. And so that's what I was just trying to figure out how.
Yeah. I'm not sure that they've imposed anything because this is an incentivized, it's an incentive program. It's
Right.
meant to encourage spending at the local municipal level for libraries by rewarding the municipalities that fund their library. There's no mandatory involvement in this program as a library. Lots of other states pay their libraries in much different, fairer ways. But Pennsylvania has strange library setup. We are the not envy of all of our neighbors. And so, I don't know that it's an imposition from the state level. It certainly does reward places that have a huge tax base that can
Right.
fund their library in a way.
And I'm asking this as the son of a librarian.
Yeah.
My mother worked in the Pennsbury School District and retired as a librarian in the Pennsbury School
Yeah.
District. So I'm not saying it.
Yeah.
You know, I was raised to love libraries.
No, I will say they do work to make it easier for libraries that are in economically distressed or economically disadvantaged areas to enter into the aid program, and also those libraries have much lower standards to meet and get payments in a higher rate. So,
Thank you. Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you very much.
And it's just not the $39,000 for the situation one. I mean, we do have, we're $5,000 short of $200,000 in the taxpayers in town.
Yeah,
Fund
no, I don't
library.
have any insight into how that is enacted, how that,
So that's something that the Library Federation or the state, I mean, they can't say we're not trying.
No, and I mean, again, it's meant to encourage activity at the local level, but it's not meant for them to be monitoring, to have any hands in it. That is entirely up to Morrisville Borough, how that works, how that's implemented.
It kind of sounds like it's up to the state and the Federation.
How so?
Well, we're spending $200,000 and we're getting almost $40,000 in state aid. So that's 20% of what we're spending, but we have to follow this mandate per se, like Mr. Flagler said.
Yeah, I mean, to receive the state aid, yes, there are. I mean, again, it's an incentive program. It's meant to incentivize the local government to invest in the library.
So if we weren't involved in this federated system at all, what would be the difference? So we'll take the $39,000 and take that off the table.
Right.
What would be the difference between being, if I'm Joe Bookworm and I walk into the library and our library is situation one, situation 2 or situation number 3. Would I, as Joe Bookworm, would I have any idea what situation my library was in?
I mean, I don't know the answer to that. You will find that the libraries that are not in the state aid program are often open at, you know, less convenient hours for the people that tend to use them. They are much smaller. Their collections are not as big for browsing. They don't have as many computers for people who do job searching on site. You know, there is also that certain something that a local library brings to a community that you can't really, you know, discount. There is the Pennsylvania Library Association is a professional organization. Pennsylvania Librarians has done some, you know, economic impact research and has found that for every dollar invested into a local library, the return on investment at the local level is about $4. So, you know, there is that amount of, you know, redevelopment that goes back into the community from the investment in a local library.
Okay.
Anybody else have any questions for Adam while we have him?
Adam, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah, you gave us a lot to think about.
Yeah, there are, you have my contact information. Yeah.
Real quick, Yardley Makefield Library is up by their pool in Lower Makefield?
Yes. Yeah, we can't, I'm sorry.
Sorry. Morrisville Borough residents pay $194,000 for their library. The library by Lower Makefield Yardley Library, how much does Lower Makefield residents pay for that library?
That is in the county tax that is assessed at the county level.
Okay, so they pay no additional.
There is no municipal tax in the,
Okay.
yeah.
And
the
Morrisville residents pay the county library tax also, right?
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yep.
Oh, I got it. Thanks for pointing that out. Okay. Now, this is a great topic. Williamson Tennis Courts. Welcome.
Thank you.
This is exciting.
Nice to meet you. Can you guys hear me okay?
You can pull it out if you want.
I should do this. So, Mr. Mayor, Madam President, members of council, dear Morrisville residents, dear fellow tennis players, present and future. My name is Thomas Lagarde. I'm a resident of the city, and I'm joined today by my wife, Ale. We're here to propose a citizen-led project that we believe would be a great asset to our community. Renovating the tennis courts in our Williamson Park, which today are full of cracks, very large cracks, and not safe to play on. Tennis is one of my passions. It's a wonderful sport. It's affordable. It's great for socializing, for developing confidence, keeping both the mind and body active, and accessible to all ages. A study found in Denmark that tennis players have a life expectancy almost 10 years longer compared to those who play various other sports. So you can get 10 years more. Think about this. Yet, to our knowledge, Morrisville currently lacks public courts in playable conditions. I don't think we have any place to play publicly for free. So our proposal is to rebuild the old courts in Williamson Park. For those unfamiliar, the courts are located in the fenced-in area next to the southernmost baseball court. The benefits would be wide-ranging. First one is recreational players would have a safe place to play. Number two, we would organize affordable tennis classes for everybody. 3, local schools might use the courts, perhaps even for a high school team. And overall, it would enhance the park itself, which needs it. So we've been exploring the idea, and we partner with the U.S. Tennis Association, the USTA, whose mission is to promote tennis by improving its accessibility. They are excited and fully supportive. They're ready to help with both the rebuild and organizing programs once the courts are ready. So we are proposing to build 4 courts, replacing the current 3. We have consulted several contractors, 3 of which assessed the site with us, and they all agreed with the full teardown is required and rebuild is necessary. So we obtained some quotes, and here are the general numbers. So based on private wages, the total project cost for 4 courts in asphalt is approximately $440,000 US, which comes up to about $110,000 per court. There will be additional cost if made of concrete instead of asphalt. That's more durable, quite a lot actually, and if based on public wages instead of private. The USDA funds up to $35,000 per court, which means $140,000 total for this project of 4 courts. And that's a great opportunity that we should not miss out on. Lots of money. That leaves us with a gap of about $300,000. If we secured funding this year, we could have courts by June next year. So to close that gap of $300,000, we're thinking about pursuing corporate sponsorship, fundraising, and we're respectfully asking the borough to consider contributing, whether through funding, through labor, and/or materials for this important community asset. In conclusion, we are looking for motivated individuals to join us in this effort. We welcome sponsors, donors, and anyone interested in helping bring this project to life. Thank you for your time, and we'd be happy to take any questions.
Anyone?
No questions. Just want to say, thank you for taking on this initiative. When you first came to me about it, I was super excited. I think it's something we need down in Williamson Park. It also has a benefit to Morrisville. One, to continue to get us active and out there. It can also connect the schools. And then also later on, once we have enough courts down there, then we can host tournaments here in Morrisville and continue to bring visitors here to our lovely borough and continue to shop, eat, spend their money here, and possibly want to live here too. So,
Great.
Yeah. Thank you, Thomas.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, sorry. Thank you for your presentation. I think it would be a great addition. I don't think we can raise the money in a year, but it's worth an opportunity and something to seek after, because a lot of people for years have wanted our courts redone and would enjoy that a lot in this town. So thank you for doing all the work and presenting this to us.
Thank you. I do know that many people used to play on those courses, and they remember fondly playing on those. And they were programs, classes, but I guess with time they became unavailable. So, yeah.
Do you play tennis around here now?
So I play every week, multiple times, and since I'm 8 years old, and I pretty much have to go somewhere else. I use other boroughs' tennis courts or other clubs. Yeah.
So if we had this project done, you and some of your buds would come down and play tennis and keep it moving, and hopefully people would see it, would want to use it instead of it just
Yeah, absolutely. It's a big community. I'm well connected with tennis people. I think it would be no problem to get people to come and play.
In your opinion, is there a shortage of tennis facilities in Lower Bucks County? And this would be...
Is there a shortage?
Yeah.
I think in the eyes of the USTA, yes. And that's why they're willing to jump in and help. In the eyes of a player, yes, also. Oftentimes you find yourself playing after work, which is the busy times, and it's already taken, so you have to move to some other courts.
So we could have 4 more courts here in the area that aren't taken.
And we could also even look into, maybe in future phases, we could think about adding some LED lights, which wouldn't be too disrupting to others, and that basically prolongates the playing time to actually past basically sundown. So, and those are very, very rare. So for sure that would bring people over. Yeah.
We'd have to change our ordinance stuff to dawn. That would be a small problem.
right?
If you could make that happen.
And this project would be like multi-levels as well. You just want to get the first part started, and then you can continue to go to the USTA and ask, continue to ask to help fund. Like Tomas said, the lighting would be something different. Another scope that we'd have to do where you would have down LED lighting, so it's not shining into those neighbors right there if we're going to be there, or wherever it may be inside of Williamson Park. So it'd be cool. Just so you know, there are 3 tennis players just right on Crown Street alone, like not knowing like how many people actually play tennis. I've never played.
There's another one here on council.
Right, and yeah, she had also learned. So once we have, oh, and we have another one I just heard. Wow, there's a lot of tennis players. So this might be really more exciting putting this out there to the community, and hopefully we get a lot of volunteers, and then, like we said, we'll work on the funding.
Very excited about this.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
And I just want to clarify, you aren't asking the borough to help you. You're doing this fundraising on your own, right?
If the borough can help.
Well, yes, but I'm just saying, you're not asking the borough. I understand what yes, but yeah. Okay, Community Garden, Kimberly Lawton and Maria Casal.
Hi, how are y'all? You want one? Okay, so we are wanting to present a community garden. Is that better? Okay, can you hear me now? Is that better? Okay. So we have a presentation for the Borough Council of a community garden project we're wanting to do. So my name's Kimberly Lawton, and this is Maria Casal. Thank you. And
I'm Maria Casal.
So we're here today to propose an exciting initiative that will bring benefit to our city's health, environment, and community spirit. So imagine a green, vibrant space where neighbors come together and grow fresh produce, flowers, and friendships. Our vision is to create a community garden and that is accessible, inclusive, and educational for the whole borough to, enjoy. It's also would bring life to an underutilized land on the borough. So with rising grocery prices, many families struggle to access healthy, affordable food. Community gardens provide fresh fruits and vegetables to those who need it the most. Gardening encourages physical activity, reduces stress, and it supports better nutrition. There are many environmental benefits to having a community garden. Gardens improve air quality, reduce urban heat. They also promote pollinator habitats. Community gardens create community building. They foster connections across all ages and backgrounds. Neighbors will become collaborators and friends. We've identified the empty lot across from the Senior Center on East Cleveland Avenue as an ideal spot. This area is currently underutilized, but has great potential for transformation. And it would provide an almost perfect space for a community garden with it being fenced in. It can deter from animals messing with it and even vandalism. This isn't a solo effort. We will work with the city's Parks and Recreation Department as well as other community members and organizations to help fund funding and any work that needs done for the garden. It seems that we have a large interest in the community, everybody that I've spoke to, also that Mariah has spoke to. And we're exploring grant funding and state and nonprofit sources. We're asking for the approval for city use land and the collaboration with the city departments for zoning, maintenance, and long-term sustainability. We believe having a community garden here in Morrisville will benefit our community greatly. So thank you for your time. That's about all I have about it. If you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them if I can.
No questions, but I do want to say thank you for coming out. See, you did great. You didn't have to be nervous.
I'm going to clarify. We've been looking at is the fenced-in area that's on the other side of the Manor Park.
Yeah, it's directly across.
What was it, a skating rink or a hockey rink at one time? And so we have looked at it, and we have sketches to put, I think 24 raised bed.
24 to 25, I believe they're 4 to 8.
Raised beds, gardening, and have talked to some people about the lake that gets there every year and stays for quite a while.
That's the big problem about that location. We would definitely need to find some resources to dig
Yeah,
that
and
up.
we've talked to some people about it, but before we can explore it, we need to know if the borough is willing to let us use that land to explore to see if it's something we can do.
Yes, definitely. And we're looking for all the grants and the funding, you know. We're doing all that work.
Jacob, do you want to speak to that Cloverleaf property that they've identified? Jacob, Rigg, I'm sorry, I had a blank for a second. Jacob Rigg is from Gilmore and Associates and our borough engineer.
Yeah, so this part of the property, that court area is actually in part of which is next on the agenda, the Cloverleaf property, which is being remediated for, that Cloverleaf property is being remediated for site contamination right now, which potentially extends up into this area and a little bit of the parking lot, which is why there's the settlement issues in the center of that rink, and then also the settlement within the parking lot because it was a past landfill. So the Bucks County RDA is currently working to do the remediation work on the wooded area of the Cloverleaf site. They're still planning to do the testing on this area. So as of right now, I don't know we can give a definite answer on yes or no to that area because there's still work that needs to be done to investigate that further.
So they haven't actually tested that
No,
area?
they have not. They have not drilled in that area and took core samples for their soil contamination to check that level.
Would there be, if they want to do raised beds, would there be the possibility of like a cross-contamination with a raised bed because they're not going to plant the tomatoes in the ground?
I'm just not sure what the RDA has to do as far as the remediation.
Okay.
The soil that where they're doing on their property right now is capping the area. They have to do 2 feet.
So if they turn up the soil, the dust could blow into the garden?
Well, I'm just saying that court area might have to be still remediated. Someone might have to come in, dig out 2 feet and put back 2 feet of clean soil. So I'm not saying it's a no for the area, but it might be a year down the road still, a little bit further. Because again, the RDA hasn't tested that side. They've tested the wooded tree area of that lot, but not this court area, which they are planning to do when they start their work in the coming weeks.
Thank you. That's more information than it really is helpful. So if this isn't available, then we're hoping we can find another spot that would be available for us to start planning and put something for the community. What we liked about that location is it was close to senior center, and they would love to participate and help with that. And the way we were building the raised beds, it would be easy for walkers and wheelchairs to get in there. So that was one of the reasons.
Why don't you ask the county, they have all that land to the back and to the side of the courthouse, ask the county to put up beds there.
You know, it's a really good idea. I'll talk to them about it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great job.
So to piggyback off of that, we also had a meeting this week about the Cloverleaf property, which piggybacks to that area. And again, with Jacob, you weren't there at that meeting, but we were talking about that as part of the Cloverleaf property. And next month, I guess they're developers, right? Developers? The developer will be here with a concept plan, and he will show all to council like what he envisions at the Cloverleaf property. So get ready and have some questions and your input on what you think or don't think. On September 18th at 11 a.m. at Borough Hall, there will be a trash bid opening. As everyone knows, we put out a bid for trash that will begin in 2026, and that will be live, so you are welcome to come here and watch the opening of the bids. I know that's very exciting. Or you can watch it on TV, or you could watch it in the evening because it will be recorded. Right, John? Yes, he's nodding yes. So there we are. So now I'm going to go on to, again, misinformation to residents. It's very disheartening to hear all of this. There are a lot of blanket statements that are being put out there with no real skin in the game. It's just blanket statements, you know, like what are some of them that I've been sent? That there are missed opportunities in the borough, you know, that you know, the borough manager is letting things slide through, that the borough manager is not actually here and he's not devoted to Morrisville. Those are all lies. I'm going to be blatant and say that. I know it's a silly season right now because of everything that is going to happen later in the year, but, you know, if you're going to say these things, at least make them honest and truthful. You know, some of the things you said about the borough manager, and you talked about the senior center parking lot. The senior center parking lot was on hold with the previous full-time borough manager. And to be told that we didn't know who owned it, yeah, we did know who owned it. What we didn't know was what the lease agreement said between the courthouse, because nobody had that at the top of their hands. Who, if there were repairs that had to be made, who would make those repairs? Mr. Dillon, within 3 months of finding out that the parking lot was a nightmare, went and got a meeting together and has since found $775,000 in grants to fix that parking lot. The bids are... The bids are going out this fall, and in the spring, the parking lot will be fixed. So to sit here and disparage him and say he's letting things fall through the crack is just nonsense. I mean, I'm very disappointed in these people who are saying this. And yeah, and he works for free, by the way. He hasn't asked for a penny from us. And to be honest with you, he's done more for Morrisville than any previous full-time borough manager has done. So again, I'm going to ask residents to please call the borough and ask the borough questions. Don't rely on Facebook as being factual. And just because somebody writes something down, just like with the library, we are not closing the library, but yet every post I've read is the library is closing. Again, you're talking about, you know, things falling through the cracks. You're talking about things aren't getting done. What things aren't getting done? That's what I'd like to know. Because we've done so much stuff. Holly, I saw your post. You listed 20 things in like 2 seconds. Like it's amazing what Mr. Dillon is working on. You know, and nobody is blocking events. The only thing that this council would like is that anybody who has an event is paying for it for themselves. Nobody here thinks that the borough or the borough residents should be paying for events in the park. So if that's blocking events, that's the stance that I have. When all these things come forward, everybody can vote. There are no pivotal discussions being done behind closed doors. Everything out here is out in the open. We have presentations that come here. We have people that are knowledgeable on subjects come here in order to be transparent with all the residents. So I don't know what pivotal conversations are done behind closed doors. I really would like to know what that is. I could go on and on. Does anybody else on council have anything?
I was at a family function this past weekend in Warminster, and most of my family, I have a lot of family in Levittown, in Bristol, and Mr. Dillon, I meant to tell you this, they have nothing but great things to say about what he's done for Bristol Borough. Again, I grew up in Levittown. I know what Bristol was back in 1984 when I graduated. It wasn't a great spot to be, especially down by that amazing wharf. And what the restaurants and what Mill Street has turned into, it's pretty incredible. To back up a little bit on the library, you know, just last month we gave $9,000 for new camera systems. New desks have gone in, computer programs. I mean, we've done everything we can to try and build everything up. So again, this misinformation, I've said it before, it's disturbing. It's just downright hateful. It's just wrong. We don't need this kind of disparaging remarks about all of us up here. Again, we try and do the best that we can. We're here for the residents. We're not here for ourselves. And I just hope that more residents see the good and don't pay attention to the background noise, which is all it is, in my opinion. So, Mr. Dillon, thank you very much. I'm very proud to have you as our manager.
And I wouldn't call him a part-time manager just letting things fall through the cracks. I would say he's a deep cleaner. Actually, he's going through the cracks that things have already fallen through, cleaning them up and getting them checked off and moved on and starting to get things done here in the borough. So, yes, thank you, Jim. Appreciate all you're doing. And I think I was told that there was a part-time manager at one point in Morrisville Borough. So what's the difference now? Yeah, he may not spend 40 hours here, but he is constantly working for Morrisville. He has his full-time job over Bristol Borough, but he's always answering emails, calls. Whenever we have a question for him, he's right there helping us out. And we couldn't be more grateful. So thank you.
No one else? Okay, I did. Yes, Luke.
I'd like to add other remarks to say, thank you, Mr. Dillon. He's doing it for the love of the game. He's doing it because he cares about us and our town. And I personally really appreciate his efforts.
Thank you, Luke. Yeah, I don't know what more anybody wants him to do. I mean, he's cleaning up 75 items left by the previous full-time borough manager. 75 items, and he's probably almost done them, correct? And in addition, he's tackling things that have sat. The Stockham building has sat here for 30 years. In 1 year, we're getting to the point where we're going to fix that and hopefully start rebuilding our downtown. It's just, I don't know where these people come up with these comments, statements, and it's not to hold you guys back. I'm not trying to say you can't say things, but please don't say things that are untrue. That's all I ask. All right, on to the meeting. Engineer report. Jacob, welcome back.
All right, thank you. And before I do go on, I'll just echo your sentiments towards Mr. Dillon. I've worked with him now for 8 years in Bristol Borough, and coming in here to Morrisville, we've had projects that, again, I've been here for 8 years, and with Morris, we've been borough engineer for 9 with Morrisville. And there's been projects sitting on the shelf now, the Manor Park Playground, Patriots Park had grant money that was sitting out there waiting to be secured. And again, he's pushed those things through, and again, pushed through, again, one thing I'm going to talk about again, the parking lot at the senior center. So again, I have the utmost respect for Mr. Dillon, and he's doing a great job everywhere he works, so.
And all those things you said, that was the previous full-time manager that had that on stall.
So, all right, so then I'll go into my engineer's report. I know you all received my monthly engineer's report in the packet, but I'm going to go through just 2 of them that I want to hit off on the top. One being, and then I'll talk through the agenda items that you have from me tonight. The 2026 road program, we are still working on that to coordinate with the Morrisville Municipal Authority and PICO to just finalize the road list for next year. And again, I'll be back likely in September or October to present that road list and ask for authorization to advertise that to go out to bid, so we can bid that out here in the winter and then start again next spring, hopefully. Second project then is the senior center parking lot. We have completed now the geotechnical investigation of that. We did the drilling. I'm still waiting for the report from my engineers on that. We've completed the surveying of the parking lot and the portion of the counties up against their building to tie in their stormwater drainage project, and we are working through concept plans now and planning on setting up a meeting with the county to coordinate, again, make sure the design is what they're envisioning on their side of the property, and also the parking lot will work through. So far, what we're looking at is adding hopefully some more additional parking spaces to that, including some ADA accessible parking spaces in that parking lot. And again, the main part of that is to raise it up so it's no longer a big settlement sinkhole. So we're still working through that, and again, as Helen mentioned earlier, we are shooting to bid that out here this fall so we can start construction as soon as weather breaks in the spring, if not sooner. Again, if there's any other questions on the engineer's report that's in your packet, feel free to ask, but I'm going to go through now a couple items that I have on your agenda. So the first one being the Borough Police Sallyport construction project. We bid that project out, and 5 bids were received for that project. That varied from $153,000 to $399,000. So tonight on there, recommending award to R&S General Contractors, Inc. for $153,881, and that would be to construct the concrete driveway ramp and the fence enclosure and the entrance into the building for this police Sallyport. Again, we've worked with R&S now in several municipalities. They're a very well-known contractor, so that is on your agenda for this evening. Another agenda item there is first payment for the 2025 road program, and that is for $1,145,458 and some change, and that is for everything up through July 31st of what they completed. Again, I just got news today that they completed a majority of their punch list items, and they should be finishing the line striping here later this week. So that payment is for that. And on top of that, in your packets was also a change order for the project. And the change order was to adjust some of the contract quantities that were unused. So there were some things like base repair that we didn't need, a little bit of the milling and paving that we didn't end up needing. So that adjusted and decreased the borough's total project cost by $186,307. So your final anticipated project total will be $1,210,036, whereas it was awarded at $1,396,000.
So Jacob, I know you just got that. So our item F, it says $1,145,000. Do we need to change that?
No, that is their current payment. So the next payment will total then up to that $1 million, 1.2 that I just mentioned. All right, your item G on your agenda then is for a feasibility study related to the Public Works facility. So for those that may not know, the Morrisville Municipal Authority is looking to relocate their wastewater treatment plant out of the borough into Falls Township. And Public Works currently shares the garage, I'll call it, that in the yard there. So in anticipation of them relocating and demoing that facility and getting rid of it and cleaning up that area, we're offering a feasibility study to look at a new location potentially for relocating Public Works to at the intersection of Washington and.
I don't know that you're allowed to say.
Okay.
Right? It's real estate. I shouldn't say.
There's a couple parcels that we're looking at. Okay. And so that feasibility study that we're providing there is $13,600 for, and that would include us to, again, evaluate the site, consult with an architect to review any buildings on the site, look at utilities that serve the site to see if there's anything that, if water or sewer needs to be provided, if it's not already there, access, circulation, parking analysis, any environmental considerations, and then providing conceptual layouts and cost estimates for a new facility. And then the final item is not really from Gilmore Associates, but we helped get them together, was your item H, which is the parking garage feasibility study, and that's through THA Consulting, Inc. They do a lot of projects down in the city, again, analyzing and selecting sites that would fit a parking garage, helping to figure out height, size, number of spaces, costs, conceptual layout, stuff like that. So they have provided then a budget for you to do that planning and design for that for $12,000 for a feasibility study for the parking garage as well. That's all I have on the agenda. I'll just add to piggyback off the tennis courts. There are grants out there through DCD, the Greenways Trails and Recreation Program. So if the borough is interested in assisting in any way, there are grants out there for things like this. If it does go that route, and the borough will be the will have to apply for the grant, and they will have to do the project, and then it'll have to be publicly prevailing wage rates for that. So the cost will likely increase slightly from that. As far as Williamson Park and its location, I know there's been discussions and parts of the park that might not be fully open to development, regarding restrictions of either how the land was given to the borough, because I know parts of it were donated / bought with borough funding. So I don't know if there's any questions regarding locations, stuff like that.
I guess that's something we'll have to, and maybe we need to adjust action item 11A. So I know that they want to build, so there used to be 6 tennis courts there, and now there's 3, and they're looking for 4. So if, and there's right next to the 2, they're sandwiched in between the 2 ball fields. So one of the things maybe council we should consider is if where the current tennis courts are the prime location, or if we should move them to a different area of the park. But again, there's different things that are going on in the park. I know the churches own some of the land. We don't want to build on the church land. So I don't know if we want to consider having the engineer look into other areas that they could look and move the tennis courts, or if that's the prime location. Is that correct,
Yeah,
Jason?
that's that's where I was going with that.
Okay.
Again,
So I don't know, are you suggesting should we adjust 11A for that? Or?
Let's talk further.
Okay.
Because, as I've said, we've all said, my office has said 100 times, that land can't be developed privately. That land is going to stay a park because in Pennsylvania, the Commonwealth has the law, these donated property law, and that's going to be, and there's nothing that's going to change that. But that's not to say you can't put tennis courts.
No, that's right. Sorry,
You can put any kind of park thing on it, trails, gazebos, ball fields, all the stuff that parks entail. But you're not putting retail development or housing or anything like that.
No,
That can't be done.
This is to figure out.
I want to make sure everyone.
Yeah, okay, but this is just to move the tennis court.
I thought when he started saying that, I was saying, I think people may get the.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean development.
That park cannot be developed into a commercial development.
Sorry.
Period. Full stop. End of story.
Yes. So as far as development of the tennis court.
Development of the tennis courts, not development.
Yes, sorry.
There's multiple developments that can happen.
I would definitely wouldn't mind having a look if we could move the tennis courts, because during Little League games, you really can't drive down there, so getting your car close to the court isn't good. I know it would probably upset a few people in town because, if we put the tennis courts anywhere else, we'll get yelled at because that's not where they've always been. But I think moving them to a different spot wouldn't be a bad idea.
And I guess next month we'll add to tell you to look what would be prime location down there.
Come up with some proposal, some budget figure of what we anticipate possibly that would cost
Okay,
to have for next month.
okay. We could do that. Anybody have a problem if we put that at the next month's agenda? No. Okay. Do we want to adjust this motion then?
No, conceptually you're agreeing to.
It's conceptual.
Okay, all right. I'm just checking. I'm just trying to speed things along. So, okay, go ahead, Jacob.
So with that, I don't have anything further. If there's any other questions, again, I'm here to answer them, but that's all I have.
Council, questions?
Yeah, one more
Scott?
question. It might not be, you probably know more than anybody else in the room. What are they digging for in all these holes on Pennsylvania Avenue? They're like digging, like every day, they
On
just
South
dig another hole.
Pennsylvania? On South Pennsylvania?
North Pennsylvania Avenue.
They're replacing the gas lines.
Yeah, I was going to say North Pennsylvania has a small section of gas replacement.
Didn't that get replaced when they paved that? Because the last time they paved Pennsylvania Avenue was maybe 15 years ago, 10, 15 years ago, and they milled it, and it was milled for like a year straight. Like I probably wore out a set of tires on it. And then they finally paved it, and as soon as they paved it, the MMA had to open it up for somebody's water thing. And then after that happened, and it kept getting. But I thought they fixed all that stuff.
I mean, we have permits for the gas company, so Pico's doing gas main replacements on North.
So somebody probably dropped the ball then and didn't go in and fix it.
Possibly. I know that in the discussions I've had with Pico in the past about for the other borough roads programs, they have their own mandate to update their stuff by, I want to say it's 2035, and they have some that have to be done now, and then others that they can push off.
This will be done before 2035, right?
Oh, there. Yes, I do believe so.
Okay.
I think they said by the end of September they'll be done.
I know South Pennsylvania, I know for sure that they will be completed with that work around September, October this year. They're actually doing it might be delayed a little bit. I know that their Amtrak, they have their PennDOT permit for the main part, but where Amtrak crosses South Pennsylvania there, they have to get a separate permit with Amtrak, and I know they're working through that to go underneath.
And Amtrak said no.
And they're working through that right now. So they've done as much as they can. So now they're doing all the lateral tie-ins to the service the houses and the side streets. But then they'll have to probably pause and come back if they don't get through with their permit for that. But then PennDOT would make them then pave South Pennsylvania Avenue that they've demoed or tore up so far for their work. And the same for the area that they're working up here in North Pennsylvania. They'll be responsible for restoration of that as well when they're done. I think that's on the same timeline as September for North Pennsylvania side. I'm not too sure fully, but.
Yeah, I think John's working with them, John Later.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, John Later, Folk Works have been on that South Pennsylvania and North, watching them, so assisting.
Anything else? Okay, thank you, Jacob. Borough Manager, do you
Just a couple of things. I apologize for not being here last month, but I had shingles around my face and eyes, and I was out of commission for about a week. I couldn't even drive there. So I apologize.
People should get vaccinated for it, right, Jim?
Well, I did get vaccinated 2 years in a row, and I got it 2 years in a row. So I don't know.
You're just a test case.
Yeah. So anyhow. I was glad to hear that it looks like the road paving program for this year has come in under budget. And, Jacob said he'll have the final bill hopefully next month. And maybe we can reduce the loan in time a little bit, so that'll help. But in front of me, I have the interest rates that we're paying on that loan as of July 3rd through August 7th. 13 days we paid at an interest rate of 2.9%, and the other 22 days we paid at 2.4%. So I think council did the right thing by going with the Delaware Valley Regional, Financing Authority. So,
complain about 2% loan.
Yeah, 2.44. Get it right.
I'm sorry, 2.44.
And our investments are basically at 3% right now. So the borough's doing pretty well. Under your prior full-time manager, your interest rates were at 0.1%. So anyhow, I think the borough right now is in pretty good financial shape. That's my 2 cents on that. Truck scale, staff is working on coming up with a letter for the Bridge Commission. We think we have the best location for a truck scale, and it's on the Bridge Commission property, and we're working on that draft letter. We're going to remind them that we're still waiting for a response for the funding for all these traffic signals that we have that the borough wouldn't need to have if we didn't have the bridges. We're going to go back at them, reminding them that give us the courtesy of a response. but we're also going to ask them to allow us to put a truck scale on their property. So I chatted with our tax collector last week, and she seems to be happy with her new location. I'm glad it worked out. There were a couple bumps along the way there, but I think that's the best place for the tax collector to be, in the municipal building. You know, having it in a residential area, it violated the zoning ordinance and did not meet the handicap or ADA requirements. So I think everybody seems to be happy, and I'm glad it finally worked out. So I think you commented on police negotiations. We're in the middle of that, trying to work that out. Rental inspection ordinance, I think it's proceeding. It's not proceeding as well as I had hoped. We've sent 3 nice letters out to people. Many of them have ignored the letters. I think we're now in a position that we will be sending a notice of violations out to these individuals that own rental units that haven't registered. So hopefully they will respond to the notice of violations. If they don't, then we will file citations at the district court. I just think to help turn the town around, we have to have a good rental inspection program, and so that everybody's living in quality units. So like I said, we will be sending a notice of violations out shortly to those that have not cooperated. And you know, hopefully majority of council agrees with this, and the future councils will agree with it, because that's the only way you're going to turn the town around. I know there's some rumblings that maybe the new board wants to throw the ordinance out. I think it will not be in the best interest of our taxpayers and residents if you do not continue to implement that ordinance. So that's it for now.
Thank you, Mr. Dillon. Randy, solicitor report.
Other than the comments on the, as we come along, I would just help people enjoy the rest of the summer, have a good Labor Day weekend. But I would say that people think that if you put in 1 million hours at a job, it means you're working hard. But it's really what you get done. And I want to thank you, Jim. Jim is available to us, our law firm, 24 hours a day virtually, whenever we need him. I've never had a time where I couldn't get a hold of him and get his advice and consult with him on various problems of this borough. I happen to know Jim Dillon for over 50 years. I come out of I was raised in Middletown Township, where we had the great fortune of having him as our manager for many years. And I would just say this, Jim Dillon is considered the greatest manager ever to come out of Bucks County. There is his proteges are some of the second and third, like John Burke of blessed memory, and others who were amazing managers as well that he trained. And you know, I know for my own way, I have one of these. I work anywhere. I have a laptop. I work at home. We resolved a couple of cases this afternoon while I was having lunch at home with my wife. So you can do work anywhere. And we've had managers that work allegedly 60 and 70 hours a week and didn't get very much done. And I just want to thank you, Jim. And when you agreed to come here, it was like finding gold in the street, because you're not going to get anyone that knows borough business better than Jim Dillon. So it's an honor.
We're trying to get you a competent manager that's going to stay.
Well, we're hoping that you will. I know that you will, and I'm sure you will eventually. In the meantime, you're doing a great job, so thank you.
Thank you, Randy. Police chief report. I know chief is busy. A lot of action, huh? This is Corporal Lou Hallis.
Good evening, council. You hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Just a few quick updates. National Night Out. We'd like to thank the residents, council, specifically the mayor for all the time and effort you put in, the other officers that came out to help the community with that event. It was a really nice night, and hopefully future years it continues to grow and grow. Next event we have coming up is the Trunk or Treat, which that date is still to be determined. That's something that we will post on Facebook when we get more details on. Big topic in town is the truck traffic. The last few days, there have been some issues with nearby streets being closed, which have increased truck traffic. We're aware of that. That should be over as of now. We are planning to implement more truck details now that vacation season is starting to wind down. You will see a heavier presence, specifically on South Pennsylvania and Philadelphia Avenue. We know that there's other issues, Bridge Street, the bridges, Route 1, everywhere sees trucks, but specifically South Pennsylvania and Philadelphia Ave see the most. We had a retirement. Kathy, our clerk, retired after many years with us. So we'd like to thank everybody who came out to her luncheon. That was a very nice event. And one quick reminder that we have school starting next week on the 26th. You will see heavier police presences in the areas of our schools. And we'll be cracking down on speeding and other traffic violations in those areas. So if you see anything, just like you've heard earlier from council, please call the police. Don't post on Facebook. We can address issues quicker if we're called and told about them. Two other quick things that were discussed, I believe, last month was Nixle and GoGov. I spoke with the chief earlier today. He is going to have a report ready for next month's meeting. And the mayor, I believe you've been sent some info in your email. If you could just check that out. That's all I have. If there's any questions, I could do my best to answer them.
So just real quick, first, Lou, thank you so much for jumping in and stepping in for our chief. We appreciate it. But Nixle and GoGov, chief did send me over those from his webinars that he had with both of those. So we will have something for all of council for the September meeting, so we can discuss. There's actually a third one. I just can't remember their name. That's the one I did previous last year. We'll also throw that in there just to show the variations of different companies and what they have to offer. So.
Anyone else? No? Okay, thank you, Corporal Alice.
Thank you.
Okay. Consent agenda. Approval of the 7/15/2025 council meeting minutes. Approval of the bill list from 7/1 to 7/31 in the amount. Oh, Sue, did we do the meeting minutes? No, we did not. Okay, I'm sorry. That was given to us late on Friday night, so I'm going to take that off of the agenda. So the consent agenda is approval of the bill list from 7/1 to 7/31 in the amount of $503,997.06, and approval of a special event road closure of a portion of the 200 block of Stockham Avenue, the 205 through 227 block for Holy Trinity's 8th annual food truck frenzy to be held from 4:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. on Friday, September 5th, 2025. Scott, can I have a motion?
So moved.
Andrew, can I have a second? Motion and a second. Discussion? Anything from the public? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes 6-0. Dennis, 11A.
Call for motion to authorize Thomas Lagarde to proceed with Project Williamson Courts. I apologize if I... Williamson Courts, and prepare construction plans for the replacement of and/or new tennis courts at Williamson Park, no cost to borough.
Catherine, second. Motion and a second. Any discussion? Anything from the public? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes 6-0. Call for motion to approve. Oh, I'm sorry. Andrew, would you like to make that motion?
Yes, thank you.
Andrew, into the mic.
How's this, better?
Way better.
Good. Now I can't find it. Okay. Call for motion to approve Borough Code 275-2, increasing littering violations and penalties to $1,000 US.
Dennis, second.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Anything from the public? Nothing from the public? Oh, okay. Just for the public's knowledge, we've had a lot of dumping from people from Trenton into Morrisville, and so then we decided to look at our littering code, and this is what we came up with. So yeah, so we had a $300 fine, which is really nothing if you're going to dump all this garbage into our land. So we have a motion, second, no public comment. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes 6-0. Scott?
We've done this before. I call for a motion to authorize the advertisement of proposed updates to Borough Code 465, revising the definition of a smoke shop.
Dennis, second.
Second.
Okay, so just for the public, oh my goodness, the smoke shop. So we thought we had this nailed. And then, of course, we had the CBD store open up on Bridge Street where the old Pico used to be. And I think there was you would know better than I, something that said that you had to have 25% of your gross footage to be allowed to sell cigarettes. And that would be for things like the Wawa and the 7-Elevens so that, they could sell some. But they took advantage of it because it was such a big space. So we gave it back over to our attorneys and they came up with this. So we're advertising it. And so in addition to smoke shops are now defined to include CBD, CBD oil? Yeah, CBD oil. So that is no longer an exclusion. That is now the definition of a smoke shop. We also said that 10% of the square footage or something else, I forget. But it's the lower of the two.
We lowered the number.
Yeah, we lowered the number, so it would
Lowered the square footage.
yeah, so it'd be much harder for a smoke shop to open, especially if it's near the parks, near another smoke shop, et cetera, et cetera. So hopefully this solves the issue, but you never know. They might throw one at you. So we have a motion and a second. Anything from the public? Nothing from the public. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion passes 6-0. Catherine, 11D.
Sorry. Call for a motion to award the Morrisville Borough Police Sallyport Construction Project to R&S General Contractors Incorporated for a total amount of $153,881.81, and to authorize the borough manager to execute all necessary contract documents using EIT dollars.
Luke, would you second? Motion is second. Comments?
Madam President. So this Sallyport is essential to the central booking station that Chief has talked about many times in his report. So I'm super excited to see this finally here. So this will help us. This actually could be revenue generating for the borough as well, because other municipalities could use this now as their booking station because we will have the fingerprinting machine in the police department. So this is awesome.
And Mr. Dillon, it should be starting construction before year end, right?
Yes.
Right, Jacob? Okay, fantastic news. Okay, anything from the public? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes 6-0. Andrew, 11E.
Motion to accept the resignation of Police Officer Mitchell August, effective August 4, 2025.
Scott, second.
Second.
We wish Officer August well. Anything from the public? Council? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes 6-0. Dennis, 11F.
Call for motion to approve the application for payment number 1 for the borough's 2025 road paving project in the amount of $1,145,458.61 to James D. Morrisville, Inc., as recommended by the borough engineer.
Andrew, second. Any discussion? Public comment? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes 6-0. Catherine?
Sorry. Call for a motion to authorize Gilmore and Associates Incorporated to conduct a feasibility study for the relocation of the Public Works facility in preparation of the MMA treatment plant relocation in the amount of not to exceed $13,600 and to contact property owners regarding possible acquisition.
Dennis, second.
Second.
Discussion? Public comment? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes 6-0. Scott?
I call for a motion to authorize THA Consulting Incorporated to conduct a feasibility study for the planning and design of a parking garage within Morrisville Borough for an amount of $12,000.
Luke, second. Any discussion? Public comment?
I have a question. So where do you think this possible land would be, within the city or the proper, or do we have an idea?
I don't know. That's why we're asking the consultants, but I would imagine that it would be somewhere down in this downtown area.
Okay.
So that, because when you're looking at Bridge Street, there's nowhere to park. So anytime a developer comes and says, I want to do this to a building, we can't. So I would think it would be somewhere around here.
Okay.
But wherever they find, I don't know what they will come up with. I don't know if we would take things, Mr. Dillon could probably speak to it better.
I think it's part of the planning process to, get a location, what's the estimated cost, see if we can get some grants. You go into a number of your cities, I think I mentioned like Princeton, they have municipal parking garages there, and that's how I think you can help turn the town around,
Public comment? Come up and please identify yourself.
I just have a question about the,
Say your name.
Anna Langer, Prospect Avenue,
Just your street.
the parking garage. Like, how are they going to decide where the parking garage is going to be? Like,
That's why we're getting the study.
yeah, but are they going to be just walking around Morrisville and going, oh, let us test this? Just kind of an idea of how that's going to work.
Jacob.
It's a good question. So they will look at zoning districts, so your commercial areas, your industrial areas. They'll also look at land use. Again, in those same zoning districts, if it can be used for something else, or if it can't be used for that, then they can put a parking lot on it. Stuff like that. I mean, I know there's the parking lot that's already out behind Bridge Street. That's one area to look at, but again, they'll look around the whole entire borough and look for anything that's open, feasible to put a parking garage.
Thank you, Jacob.
I think if you look at what's going on downtown, I mean, we have Ashland distillery. We have 21 locks now. We have a new brewery coming to replace the Bitch and Kitten. It'd be great if other businesses could come in and do that, but I don't think they think about it. There is nowhere to park. Why would you want to come in and put your coffee shop or your small luncheonette? I mean, there is no parking, and we have some really great businesses that are here now, generating revenue, and it just could. I think it could be so much better. So I hope that helps as well.
Okay.
We can't hear you, Anna.
Okay, all right, I'm sorry. This isn't a back and forth. This isn't really a back and forth. Like if it's to continue like a back and forth.
But I guess my question wasn't really answered. Because I get what Dennis said about we need parking to bring businesses in here. But again, you know, with the Ashland and the 21 Lock and all the other businesses and restaurants, I mean, the only place where I can think of that's feasible is really the Stockham building that's being turned down to put a parking lot there. Because where else are you going to find a place that's big enough for the idea? And I don't think people want to walk from Bridge Street all the way up, because you got to put the parking lot someplace near where they can just walk closer to the restaurants and the places.
If they have nowhere to park, they're not even stopping. So maybe they'll park and walk from Bridge Street.
I get that.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Idea of concept.
Thank you.
Okay.
And that's why we're paying a consultant to do it, because that's what they do. And I know it's probably mind-blowing that the idea of a parking garage in Morrisville, something that should have been done a long, long time ago, was never done, that finally it's being discussed. But it's something we need. If we fill some of these businesses on Bridge Street, there's nowhere to park. Between the nail salon takes up a couple spots, the tackle spot takes up a spot. These are private parking lots back here. We need somewhere for people to park. That's
Okay, thank you so much, Scott. No other public comment?
Lee Taylor, 405 Hamilton. Just wondering, do you have a target of how many spots you're looking for, or is that, or any other parameters, or is that part of the feasibility study where they're going to say 10 spots or 50 spots?
That would be a part of the study. Any other public comment?
Just one quick question.
Your name and the address?
Okay.
I'm Connie Beadle, and I just have one question. I just wondered why a parking garage, not a parking lot?
So this is all part of the study.
Oh, the study will determine whether you would want a parking lot or a parking garage?
It'll tell us what the feasibility of all of that is.
Okay, thank you.
Mrs. Beadle, if you had a parking lot for 20 cars and you went up 3 levels, now you have a parking lot for 60 cars.
Okay, I understand that. But if you have a 3-level parking garage in downtown Morrisville, isn't it going to look out of place? All I really wanted to, you answered my question.
That's the consultant will look into that.
Okay.
I mean, we're not going to, if it ends up looking like a UFO, we're not going to want to put it there. So
Okay.
Hopefully it'll be pretty.
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, other towns have parking garages, and imagine Morrisville also has some plans, and if they come to fruition, we're going to want people to come to town, or maybe some people don't want people to come to town. Okay, any other public comments? All in favor, say aye. Abstentions? Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Andrew, 11, aye.
My apologies. Call for resolution to approve State Road Winter Maintenance Services Agreement, October 15, 2025 through April 30, 2035 with PennDOT.
Catherine? Motion and a second, discussion? Public comment? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes 6-0. Scott?
I call for a motion to approve the Amtrak agreement for the repair of the Washington Street Railroad Bridge contingent upon final review / approval by Flagger and Associates.
Catherine? Discussion? Public comment? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes 6-0. Luke, you want to read the last one? Dennis, second.
Second.
Discussion? So just for everyone's edification, the hourly rate is $300, which is our current rate that we have, so there's no increase in expenses. Okay, go ahead.
We had a person named Chris, attorney named Chris Gerber, who's been representing us for all these years, and he switched to this firm. So we're staying with the firm that we presently have for the contract negotiations for the police contract and what have you. But for these other matters that Chris was handling, we're continuing. So nothing's changed other than the fact that this particular attorney switched law firms and he now works for Lamb McElwain for the public's edification. Okay.
Public comment? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes 6-0. Okay. Eileen Grossman Bailey, non-agenda public comment.
Thank you very much.
State your name and
I'm
address.
Dr. Eileen Grossman Bailey. I live on Palmer Street, and I've had the privilege of serving on the library board since 2021. Borough Council has a hard decision to make about the state aid for the library, but I don't think it's all doom and gloom. Not at all. Morrisville residents have been realizing how much they value the library. 480 people signed a recent petition to preserve children's summer programs and were asked to volunteer. The result was, I think, a win-win for everyone. I'd like to ask Borough Council to do 3 things. One is maintain the library's state aid funding if possible, at least until a new librarian can make recommendations or seek adequate grant funding. 2, hire a new head librarian, which I was happy to see that you're making strides toward. I really appreciate that. And appoint the 3 board members to fill the terms that have expired March 2025. There are applications from several worthy candidates, I understand, including some of the people whose terms expired. So since it was founded in 1904, the library has provided real material benefits to Morrisville residents. I have a few numbers and current facts about the library. So far in 2025, there have been over 10,000 library visits, averaging over 1,400 visits per month, with over 2,000 in July. Library use consistently ranges from about 30 to over 100 visits per day. It's a source of books, entertainment, computer use, spanning the digital divide, and internet access for people seeking jobs and doing research. In 2025, IT data shows there were over 1,000 computer sign-ins by library card holders. In terms of children's programs, just over 1,000 people have participated since March. 859 of them were children. The July programs were attended by 359 people, 308 of them children, and were run with 1 staffer and 2 to 3 volunteers, a good compromise between the library staff and the borough. 11 volunteers stepped up to help run these. So summer programs were supported by $1,500 in sponsorships, including from our mayor, thank you, and the Sherlock Foundation, other sponsorships. Library board volunteers organized and ran a book sale in June that raised over $900 in sales and donations. So I know state aid requires a free community library open 45 hours a week, 12% of the yearly budget spent on new books. All the things I was going to say, as have already been said. I'm hoping that we'll consider a full-time professional librarian, because I believe they can provide leadership, coordination, volunteer opportunities, go after sponsorships, increase community room rentals, and seek grant funding. So I think that would be a real win for our borough. The town library provides an important service to Morrisville community and families, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Eileen. Thanks for those stats. George Helmsletter, yeah, if you want to send them to me, that would be great.
I can put that together for Borough Council.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you. Hi, George.
George Helmstetter, 800 South Pennsylvania Avenue. First, my thoughts and prayers are for Marie. She had actually asked me about coming by and observing an hour one morning of the trucks, and she was quite shocked. Part of my therapy with these trucks is I film them and I get their names of the trucks, and I either call the companies or I contact their websites and send in comments about how their truck drivers are driving down the road illegally. So just to share a couple responses, when you film some of these trucks, they stop wondering what you're doing.
I know.
One of them, I stopped at the stoplight down by the railroad bridge, and a truck pulled right behind me. I get out and point right at the 10-ton limit sign. One guy actually said, "I'm empty." Okay. It was a 53-foot tractor-trailer truck. Most of the guys usually say, "My GPS took me here." Okay, you missed the signs. So just some of my comments of things that we can maybe try and ask. Can we get in touch with PennDOT again and ask them to beef up the signs? I know on the Keystone side, there's a couple 10-ton limit signs, and they've actually ripped down a couple of them. I have pictures of them hanging there, and I went back another week, and they're gone. Most of these signs, when you drive into Morrisville, there's 7 different signs. You're coming up on Morrisville, there's a weight limit. There's a half a mile, quarter mile. There it is. They don't see all these signs. So they need to create some bigger signs or actually put the ordinance number on it. I think when you put the ordinance number on it, it makes it real, because they see weight limit signs all over the place. But if it has an ordinance number, then it knows we're serious. And another question I have is, since all these buildings and warehouses are in Falls Township, why can't we ask them for help? I mean, they're causing all this. They're getting all the tax revenue from all these warehouses. Why can't they help with enforcement? So the chief did contact me and said he's got some enforcement coming out, and it'll be much appreciated. Trust me. Last week with this traffic or whatever that was going on, one morning in an hour, I counted 10 of those huge recycled dump trucks going by. So it got ridiculous. I drove down there, and all I saw was they're repaving the ramps. When I called, they said there was an accident on Route 1. So it doesn't correlate. All right, thank you.
Thank you, George. Just so you know, Falls Township is not going to help us. They owe us money for our EMT, and they refuse to pay us. So we're fighting with them over that. So I don't think they're going to help us make sure that the cars and trucks. I'm not going to argue with you on that. Peggy Walsh. And also, John Lader, the chief, and I went out to look at the signs. We noticed that there's too much, and they're probably not, or they're not looking at it. So I know John Lader is working with the chief to beef up the signs to make them better. So that's just an FYI. Hello, Peggy.
Peggy Walsh, Stockton Avenue. Good evening. I urge the council not to consider foregoing state funding for the library, because all of us know that would mean a gradual decline of a beloved institution that Morrisville residents have fought for since 1904. Currently, neither the director position nor support staff is full-time. None of the positions include benefits, although personal time can be accrued according to hours worked. The last director left on sick leave in November and submitted her formal resignation in March. A very gifted, qualified children's librarian applied for the job but received no response from the borough, so she obtained another job. Perhaps you're waiting to hear from Adam before you decide to post, but you have known for 5 months that we have no director at the library. So I do hope that you will decide to post this position, because my real concern is that every library that receives state aid must file an annual report with the Office of the Commonwealth of Libraries by the deadline, usually sometime in April. While it's not impossible for a library to accomplish this without a director, having a director to coordinate the effort with Adam will certainly help. If the library does not complete the annual report in a timely manner, the Office of the Commonwealth Libraries may withhold state aid payments from the library, so we could lose state funding simply because we don't have a director. The residents of Morrisville rely on the library. You heard our board council president talk about the number of people who have used this library. Children under 18 constitute approximately 20% of Morrisville's population, according to the Census Bureau. The median household income of Morrisville is around $60,000 to $94,000, and we have a poverty rate of about 11%. That's all according to the Census Bureau. The library serves as a critical free resource for residents. Access to books, media, educational programs, and computer services without cost provides essential support for all families and for the many senior citizens who live in the towers and throughout Morrisville. The Morrisville Library is a vital resource for our community. Please do not forgo state funding, at least not at this time. Thank you.
Connie Beadle.
Hello again. I'm Connie Beadle, Osborne Avenue, and I'm here to talk about the library also. But my predecessors have done a pretty good job. I'm going to tell you a little something about me. I wrote down all my different library experiences, and it came to 41 years in public libraries. I was once a librarian of the Morrisville Library back in the 80s. Couple of business libraries, and then 3 different schools. So I've had a lot of experience with budgeting, with dealing with boards, and I'm also very old. In fact, I'm so old I played tennis on the tennis courts and worked as a waitress in the Cloverleaf Dairy Bar. Yeah, most of you probably don't know what that means, but the other seniors will. Okay, when I was the librarian, Bob Stewart was the borough manager, and in my mind, he was my mentor, and he was the best borough manager. He also was head of the library board. And so when I started to work at the Morrisville Library, he would invite me down to his office and we would work on the budget together. And this way, I learned how budgeting was done. I learned that you have to look at last year's revenues, estimate what this year's revenues are going to be, and then hope that everything comes out okay. Not an exact science, okay? Then, as now, Morrisville were operated on a very tight budget, but it was different in many ways. There were no computers. There was the old-fashioned card catalog. And the librarian signed out books on the cards, remember? And stamped. I still meet people who say, oh, you're a librarian, and go through the pantomime of stamping the cards. State aid. Most of what I wanted to say has been said by other people, but I do want to emphasize, first of all, it is not necessarily this council that could be a problem in the future. Once you deny state aid, it's very difficult, almost impossible to get it back. And some council at some time could decide, because there are no rules, that the library would only be open, for example, 2 days a week, or that the staff could be reduced to what I would call a skeleton crew. That programs, okay, I'm running out of time, I see. Move it. Those are the two important things.
Thank
the
you,
next
Connie.
important thing is the budget.
Connie, you're out of time.
One more sentence.
Okay.
I don't understand how the library could be 195. It keeps growing. How could this happen? The council has to approve every expense that the library makes. Why did they keep approving if we were so far in debt? Budgets are not my strong point, but I would very much like to see this audit that apparently discovered this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Lee Taylor?
Hello, I'm Lee Taylor from Hamilton Boulevard. This coming week, you will require me to write a check to the borough for $84,000 in property taxes, but that's not enough. Now you want us and our tenants to pay an additional $100 per unit annually, which you exempt yourselves from paying. It is the $100 annual tenant tax on residents of our town in need of affordable housing. It's a money grab. How many of you sitting up there rent your current residence? Maybe none. Over 70% of my tenants are minorities or single parents. Over 1/3 are low income and on HUD and already have their residences inspected annually. Yet you, the homeowner council members, want to inspect my tenants who are mostly minority and single parents and in need of affordable housing. Why? Because you think they live more sloppily than you and their homes don't meet code? My rental homes are inspected every few years whenever tenants move in and out. I've done 6 UNOs just since March. Our homeowners, one homeowner among us, lives in their family home bought in 1961, which means it hasn't been inspected for code violations in at least 64 years. If the borough even did UNO inspections back then. Talk about safety and meeting code. This is very bad optics for you all and totally unfair. I spoke with the current investor who remodels, upgrades homes before selling or renting them, and he has blacklisted Morrisville and Bristol because of high taxes and these annual rental inspections. Your ordinance is driving home improvements out of our community. Your ordinance 1019 fails for many reasons. Discriminatory, invasion of privacy, creates a monopoly for one single inspection company, requires additional money from the most vulnerable of our residents, and ignores the biggest safety violators. You, the homeowners who haven't had a code inspection in years, are most likely not upgraded your homes to current code enforcement standards. You're modern Pharisees who put burdens on people other people and then exempt yourselves with loopholes from the very same scrutiny you impose on others. There is a better tactic and a better way. I've created a suggested revision in the town's UNO code as suggested by your very own Inspector Larry in a meeting a few months ago. It has been reviewed by landlords, tenants, and homeowners alike who unanimously have agreed to these revisions. This revision will correct a number of issues, including identifying new landlords and ensuring UNOs now being skipped are done, so as well as get you out of some of the discriminatory and unconstitutional practices you are now requiring. I'm officially requesting an opportunity to present this revision at the beginning of the next council meeting, such as you gave Larry and Courtney from the inspection company you chose, or Reimagine in Morrisville. Thank you.
Thank you. Chris Zawodniak. Hi, Chris.
Chris Wodniak, 121 Chambers Street. I just want to add my voice to support having the council meet the standards to get state funding. I want to commend Adam for a great presentation and thank the council that you are on record for supporting keeping the library open. The library is one of the crown jewels of Morrisville. I know we had some people talk about the history of it over 100 years. For many years, the library was actually in the basement of the Borough Council building when it was on Washington Chambers Street, right near where I live. And then it kept growing and needed a bigger place. And it, for a number of years, was in Summerseat, which again is near and dear to my heart, another crown jewel of Morrisville. And then finally it moved, of course, as you know, to the Episcopal Church. And, you talk about the problems with the Stockham building. The Episcopal Church is a solid foundation building. They just had a new roof, I believe, put on a few years ago, slate roof that lasted over 100 years originally. And I hope it will last another 100 years with the new roof. And so the library is definitely a light for education, for children, for the adults, for everybody in Morrisville, and for the surrounding community. And, we're coming up to America 250 next year, which is going to be a great event, supported bipartisan by people both in the federal government, the state government, county government as well. And the library is going to have programs also for America 250 as well as Summerseat. So I just want to encourage the council to meet the standards. I know budgets are tight, but I think, as I said before, a little money put in, extra money, will do a great deal to add to the borough and to the education, both children, the adults, and for the community. And so I want to thank you again for supporting our library.
Thank you, Chris. Lisa Weinhardt. Lisa? She left, okay. Sean Ratty?
Good evening, everyone. Sean Ratty, Philadelphia Ave. I think the be-all point here tonight is that we want to ensure that we are not observing our support for projects and programs that are for our citizens strictly under a financial gaining microscope, but see these as an investment in the town and the people like they truly are. The fact is, this year is a year we've had a bit of a financial reprieve for Morrisville in terms of the library, without paying for the missing staff as well as the delay for needing to hire a replacement. And with the town doing as well as it says it is, I would like to think that we don't have a need to have to cut or reduce that budget with any time soon. If anything, we should reasonably be going into another several years fully staffed and then properly evaluating the financial needs and see if they need to be adjusted. That would be the appropriate process to address and handle this. As an educator who works in the Morrisville school districts, I want to make sure I can tell everybody here firsthand how vital our public library is going to be and that maintaining its hours will be pertinent, as well as hiring a full staff. Going into the school year, the school itself is going to have a single fully functioning library amongst 13 different grades, and that library caters primarily to the 3rd to 5th grade. So our public library will soon become our most important resource to combat illiteracy and encourage reading beyond the classroom itself, which impacts our entire town and our education resources for our children. And the school is already fighting an uphill battle and facing enough challenges with these lack of resources. So those extended hours open and staff, librarians, and director as being there is one of the best ways that you as a council and that we as citizens can actually support the students and the education here in Morrisville. I know some see spending money on public service as a waste, but the reason libraries are so commonly supported is because they're one of the few ways we can actually invest our tax dollars in the future of the children and the increasing number of newer, younger families that are coming to a small borough like ours. And one of the many ways we can encourage people to interact with the town, as well as with community events. Historically, culturally, and impactfully, there are dozens, if not hundreds, of studies and pieces of evidence that show cutting support and funding of libraries does not often improve a thing, but often kills public opinion and morale, and often leads to closures. For taxpayers, it's not money going back in our pockets, so that notion should be out of our mind. But eventually, it can cause an impact on devaluing our properties, especially if it's undervalued or undersupported, or if in the future this decision causes it to be closed. Plus, as Pew Research studies say, library reductions and closures cause the largest impact to public distrust to our local governments, and we don't want to lose that. No one is calling for the library to have its barely changed funding cut or hours reduced to close it more, so please follow the public sentiment. It's one of the town investments which only improves when invested in. Boroughs with lower incomes like ours already face enough challenges, so let's make sure we're not cutting one of our few positive resources we have here. And I believe many of you up there have a heart to help the people, and I would love to see you to take it upon yourself to please help support this public resource. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, and also, thank you for giving that extra minute for Connie. I was very appreciative.
Linda Meyer.
Hi, Linda Meyer, Hamilton Boulevard. I first wanted to comment on the community outreach with the letters of interest for the library board, because I had sent in a letter of interest for that back in June, and I confirmed that it was received and forwarded, but I have received zero response or acknowledgement that that was sent in. And I spoke with someone else at the library last week who said they had also submitted a letter of interest and received no response whatsoever, so they didn't know if it had been received or forwarded. So there's no information on whether it was received, what the timeline is, whether it's being considered or not considered. So I would request that some sort of response be sent when a letter of interest is sent for any of the boards or councils, so that receipt is confirmed. I do also want to speak in support of the library. I am a volunteer at the library. I also volunteered at some of the children's programs this summer and have seen how wonderfully the children are impacted. The library has the Museum Pass program, which allows families to go to museums that they would otherwise be unable to attend. And those passes go out regularly. They're very popular. It also has the seed share. And there's been a lot of people who've taken advantage of that and have been very excited that they've been able to get packets of seed and grow flowers or vegetables where they would otherwise be unable to do so. And there's also resources there that describe what seeds are, how big they get, how to plant them, how to grow them, how to harvest them if it's a vegetable. There's people who come in all the time to get help with computers and printouts and things like that. There's a lot of things that are going on in the library. And I would strongly recommend hiring a full-time librarian who would have the best interest of the library at heart and have the time to work on grants and sponsorships and other things like that. And finally, just a quick question about motion 11E, which was the motion to accept the resignation of the police officer. What happens if you vote no?
Hey, Randy?
It's a formality. Obviously, we don't have indentured servants, so some people are free to leave.
Okay, thank you. I was just curious about that.
It's a good question.
Thank you, Linda. Jane Berger. Thank you, Randy.
Stiff. Good evening, everyone. Jane Berger, West Maple Avenue.
Recently, somebody sent me a link to a podcast with two persons wanting to come into Borough Council, talking about the need for a full-time manager. Of course, I was asked if they already had somebody in mind, and of course, I certainly don't know, wouldn't think so. Anyone certainly has the right to express their opinions, but I leave it to the council and the administration to adjust the examples provided in that podcast. I do need to clarify an error. The chief executive officer of the borough is the council president, not the manager, as was stated in the podcast. The manager is the chief administrative officer, as is stated in the law. The manager, of course, handles the day-to-day operations, which are many, has to bring items to council for consideration, and then follow up on council actions and directives to the manager. As any former council president can say, the president and the manager must work together. From 1990 through 2009, Morrisville had two part-time managers. That was totaling about 18 years. The first was Vic Cicero, who served as full-time police chief and part-time manager. After that, it was George Mount, serving as the full-time director of the municipal authority, as well as the part-time borough manager. From that period on through 2023, there was a string of full-time managers, some of whom appointed had no borough experience, no other governmental experience, or no managerial experience. I do want to say that if Mr. Mitchell had not become ill and subsequently passed away, his achievements as a full-time manager could have been more substantial. So there's no guarantee that a full-time manager will provide better management than a part-time one. I'm surprised the focus is full-time versus part-time and not the qualifications needed for an effective manager. Qualifications for the job and the ability to do the duties should be the same whether or not full-time or part-time. For me, the questions to ask of any candidate applicant are, what's the extent of your experience as a manager or assistant manager, and how is that borough doing at your left? You might also want to know what has been their hands-on, successful experience working on the broad-based spectrum of the duties of the borough manager. Includes finance with budgets and expenditures, contracts, finding resources, which could include grants, save taxpayer funds, managing, supervising employees, and the endless growing number of required reports. And these are just a few of the things you may want to consider important. There is a full list of the areas the manager covers, which can be found in the manager ordinance. Many folks know that I was on council for several years and served often as president. I was also a trainer for the Pennsylvania State Association of Boroughs and served over 5 years in the state committee that overhauled the Pennsylvania Borough Code, now known as Title 8 of the Pennsylvania Consolidated Statutes. Keeping up with the laws and regulations is important, so I just want to share that there have been recent amendments to Title 8, some effective the end of 24 and some going into effect at 25, and I'm sure you'll review these to see if any of our local ordinance or policies need amending. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Jane. Just to follow up, Adam, Virginia helped you do all the year-end reports, correct? So that there was nothing left. Okay. That was actually Diane. Diane did, okay. But Virginia also helped you do some reports. So we're not outstanding in anything. Okay. I just wanted to clear that up again. I think that we've said enough about the library. Anybody, council, do you have any? Oh, I'm sorry, Mayor, you go next. Mayor's comments.
Thank you, Council President. All right. Good evening, Morrisville. Well, first, I can't believe it's almost September. So I want to wish all of our Morrisville students the very best year as they begin the 2025-2026 school year. As a reminder, since Morrisville is a walking district, please take extra care to follow our traffic laws. The safety of our children depend on all of us being alert and cautious. August was a fun and busy month for the borough, filled with wonderful community events. A big thank you to Chief Ciampa and the entire Morrisville Police Department for their hard work in making National Night Out such a huge success. I also want to thank Nancy and the Michael Sherlock Foundation and her volunteers for once again putting on a fantastic jazz festival. While I wasn't able to stay for the entire event, I was so glad I could come down, connect with the community, and enjoy some great music. Our new initiative, Morrisville Moves with the Mayor, is going strong. Don't forget to join us for our next Sunday stroll around town on August 31st at 6:30 p.m. We meet at the Actors Net right on Delmore Ave. It's been a great way to stay active and build connections with the neighbors. Looking ahead this fall, like Lou had said, it's shaping up to be another exciting time in Morrisville. We'll once again be holding our costume drive to collect gently used and new costumes for families in need. The Morrisville Police Department will also be hosting their annual Trunk or Treat, date to be announced soon. Be sure to follow my Facebook and Instagram pages for all the latest updates. I'd also like to highlight the work our EAC, Environmental Advisory Council, in partnership with Spearhead Project Earth and many volunteers, the EAC has been organizing Riverfront Preserve cleanups. Dates are posted on my social media and hope to see many of you out there lending a hand. On a personal note, this spring, I became an official beekeeper along with some of my neighbors. Come on, LA. To support pollinators, we planted many pollinator-friendly plants, doing our small part to help the honeybee population, which is in decline. Bees are vital to our ecosystem, and this has inspired an idea I'd like to bring before council in the future. Reimagining the strip of grass in front of your homes, sometimes called the hell strip. Instead of grass, I planted wildflowers in mine, which supports pollinators.
Did you get permission from the borough?
Oh, please, it's coming. Since code currently only restricts planting trees and shrubs there, I would love for us to consider making Morrisville a pollinator-friendly town by encouraging wildflowers planting borough-wide, something for all of us to think about.
It does look pretty, Gary. I did see his house.
I appreciate it.
Giving him a hard time.
Well, I'm about to get another hard time anyway. Randy's going to get me on this one, but no, just kidding. Council, in front of you, I did put a sample of an ordinance in front of you from Newtown Borough. I wanted to share that I will soon be introducing an ordinance to ban single-use plastic bags in Morrisville. This is something already in place across the river in New Jersey, as well as in parts of Pennsylvania and surrounding states. Since many of us are already accustomed to this practice, I believe it's a great step forward for our riverfront borough. I already said that part. Okay, yeah. So please take time to review it and bring any questions or comments when we discuss it at future council meetings. Thank you all for your time and commitment to our community. Let's keep working together to make Morrisville an even better place to live, work, and thrive. Have a great evening.
Thank you, Mayor. Anybody on council?
I do. Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I spend a lot of time in New Jersey with my job. And I work a lot of hours, so a lot of times I stop in New Jersey on the way home to get something. And there is nothing, well, I'm sure there's a lot of things worse. There's a lot of problems in the world. But there's nothing worse than walking out of ShopRite with 4 or 5 items and trying to carry them like this because they don't give me a plastic bag. If you pass that, I'll never talk to you again.
There are some cool alternatives to it, and I actually forgot it at home. Fame Good Eats actually
I have 8,000 of them, and you use them once, and they say reusable, and you don't reuse them. That is, please just pretend that didn't. I didn't even know who put that there, and I wouldn't have known if you didn't say something. I'm going to go home tonight. I have to get up at like 10 or 3. I have to go to Virginia in the morning at 5 o'clock. I'm going to sleep good tonight. I'm so tired, and I'm going to pretend that I did not even see that.
Keep the bags in your car.
Catherine?
Thank you. I want to thank everybody who came and participated at the 22nd Annual Jazz Festival to celebrate the Michael Sherlock Foundation. And thank you, Mayor. It was really nice seeing you there and hanging around and talking with people, and that was really nice, so thank you. So it was a great day. You know, all kinds of people come out and enjoy it. And what was fun is you've got little kids and big kids and old kids and, you know, listening to all the music. So thank you all for participating and being a part of that annual event, and I hope we can continue it. And this next Tuesday is our monthly meeting for the Parks and Recreation Committee. And because I am going to be in a training and some of the people who usually attend will also be in training, we will be counseling for the month of August. So thank you.
It's canceled in the month of August.
Yes.
Parks and Rec is canceled for the month of August.
So thank you. I'll be putting some notices out there because there's a lot of different people who come. So thank you very much.
Okay, Sue, could you make sure that gets up on the website? Thank you. Anyone else?
So I'd just like to thank you for all the presenters. Thank you for the library information. That was very helpful. For the tennis courts, for stock and building update, community garden, all that stuff is great. And on a serious note, I hope we didn't lose the point that nobody on council wants to close the library. I feel like I needed to close with that, no pun intended. And one quick note on the rental license. I hope, Mr. Taylor, you understand, it is also for your protection. Every resident that I've talked to about rental license is all for it. It protects the landlord, it protects the tenant, and it's in almost every borough, township in Pennsylvania. So I hope that you realize that that's all we're trying to do. So thank you so much, everyone. Have a great night.
And also, I know you said property taxes, but August is school taxes. So that's the dollar amount for school taxes. Luke, you are on the phone, so sometimes I forget when I don't see your nice face. You have anything? Did you fall asleep? Oh, maybe he has us on.
I wasn't unmuted. I apologize.
That's okay.
With the rental property stuff, I'd like to I keep hearing that it is a fee for the tenant. It is not a fee for the tenant. This is something that your landlord should gladly do to keep you safe and living in great conditions. So if he passes that on to you, that is a conversation that needs to be had with your landlord. It is not a fee for the tenant. Thank you.
Okay. Nobody else?
I have one more thing.
Andrew?
I'm sorry.
You're good, Andrew? Catherine?
I just want to announce that that the Senior Center is going to be having a speaker talk about Medicaid fraud on August 27th at 11 a.m. And we'll also be having on September 17th a presentation from St. Mary's at 12:30 to talk about health and diabetes and nutrition. So just some of the things that let people know that might be interested. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. That's important. All right, if nobody else has anything, all in favor to adjourn? Meeting adjourned, 9:36. 37.
That's